Christmas.
It is the season.
It is the season.
It is the season.
And what reminds me of Christmas is Gremlins and Mothman. Do you agree?
I mean, Gremlin, sure. Mothman, no. I would say Die Hard and Lethal Weapon.
Well, I'm not talking about the movies. I'm talking about the real life events. On December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed, which connected Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Ohio.
That's got to be one of the worst feelings. Just it goes down.
Yeah.
And you're on that bridge. That's like a roller coaster that you know you're going to die at the end.
31 vehicles plunged into the icy waters of the Ohio River, where 21 people survived, but 46 people lost their life. Yeah. And a lot of people say this was
the culmination.
The culmination of Mothman himself.
It was going on for a year. People were spotting this
not only they were spotting strange lights being reported
Correct.
in the night sky, they were spotting men in black.
Yeah.
And then they also saw
the red-eyed creature
flying around, which they dubbed the Mothman. As much as I do want to talk about Mothman extensively one day, even further than we have ever talked about Mothman before, I really want to focus on this because it does remind me of Christmas, even though it's like kind of morbid.
Yeah, why does it remind you of Christmas?
Because of Mothman Prophecies. Did you ever see that movie?
Richard Gere.
Right, Richard Gere. And like the culmination is, it's Christmas time. You see packages floating around in the water. Mothman Prophecies could be a Christmas movie,
Okay,
it takes
because it takes place around Christmas.
Right,
yeah.
and the whole ending of the Mothman sightings, is Mothman still spotted today in a different form? Or is it something totally different?
Do you think the Mothman had anything to do with it? Or do you think that, which most people believe that...
It was a bad omen?
Yeah, it was the bad omen. So, they see that before, almost like the Grim Reaper, you see it before, death comes.
I think it was some type of bad omen. Whether it is... But
or do you let me ask you this question. Do you think people see... some people, are... have intuition or anything like that. Do you think the people who saw the strange lights or the creature with the 10-foot wings or the red eyes, do you think it was just them seeing what's about to happen and not necessarily the masses?
There has to be some type of coincidence or something since November 1966. Mm-hmm. And then a year later, granted it's not the same month, but December 15th.
Wasn't it November 15th was the first sighting?
That would be a little trippy if it really was.
November 15th.
So
1966 to December 15th.
So why would this...
And a month later.
Would that omen stick around for a year? Would people still see that? But then also, I've never heard the Men in Black being connected to a bad omen.
No, but I don't know about a bad omen, but they're connected to...
So could it have been an alien?
Supernatural conspiracies and everything like that.
Yeah.
If you really look at them.
That's a lot of sights or a lot of, supernatural in terms of Men in Black. And then also these,
that's why
lights in skies.
You can go down a whole thinking process of...
Going down the rabbit hole today.
Does the government have special projects that they only work on? The Men in Black, let's say the Men in Black that they work on, and then maybe this thing got out.
See, I hate the government, and I don't think the government, in terms of politicians, they're just figureheads. So when we talk about the government, this is what I think about when we think about the government per se. It's these people that you don't even know their names.
Correct, yeah.
You don't even see them. You don't know that they exist.
The deep state.
Right, like the oligarch.
Do you think that's possible, that they have projects that these things get out, like The Mist or the Mothman or Stranger Things?
I don't think the government, that theory, I don't think the government has these aliens /
I don't know. I think they do.
Monsters.
I think they do.
You really do?
Yeah, man.
Where are they keeping these fucks? Area 51?
Area 51 and bases that you don't even know exist. It could be underneath the sea for all you know.
I think this was a case of...
Well, I'm not saying this, but I'm just saying in general.
I know what you're saying.
Because
you're going down the rabbit hole.
Well, I'm just saying because...
It's Christmas time. We're supposed to be joyful, and we're talking about a tragedy.
But yeah, I 100% think they do exist because, look way back in Roswell, right? They had alien technology.
Yeah.
And, there's been, 30 plus years, or, I'm sorry, the government's 30 years ahead of our technology that what we have now. Bob Lazar talked about it, all that kind of stuff. So I 100% think they do have aliens, alien technology, spacecrafts, and all this kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
but do you think they could really control like these aliens or
No, I don't
monsters?
think. No, I think they just like maybe study them and try to
I mean,
reverse engineer them.
I think it would be sweet if, some of these shows like on the History Channel or something where you would go and it's like, oh, Warehouse 13. And you go in and you just see the Mothman, the Jersey Devil, a UFO, or all these like different things like the Chupacabra,
All
the
right,
Banshee.
what do you think you would actually do if you saw an alien in a spacecraft face to face?
Like in a government facility, like I
Yeah.
walked into a government,
Yep.
I would totally change my perspective on life. I would totally change my perspective on like what our show is. I might be a little bit more crazier.
Well, just because it's a mathematical certainty that aliens and other life forms exist out in the universe.
I get that, and I totally believe that some type of aliens exist.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we comprehend them as, the 4 foot tall, like grays, or, there's something totally different, or they're maybe me and you. Maybe me and you could be an alien.
I mean, I have thought about that. I do freak myself out sometimes.
You come up with these like weird things.
I don't know. Sometimes I wake up at night in nightmares,
You freak. So you're dreaming about going to bed and you're like, I'm a fucking alien.
Yeah, it all stems from like dying. Like what happens when you die? And
You're
what,
really afraid of dying.
What if I don't die?
And then you're an alien?
Yeah,
That'd be sweet.
that freaks me out. Just think about that.
I'm
Like,
thinking
you
about it,
die.
but I'm not dead.
You're not dead.
So, but I didn't die. I just can't die. That would be freaking awesome.
No.
You'd be like a superhero.
Maybe I am.
Maybe I am.
I don't know. It freaks me out when I start thinking about this and my
No,
mind
because
starts going.
I think you think
and it's
about like I think you think about death too much
I probably do.
because you are all your dreams and your thoughts come down to dying.
I'm not afraid of dying. I just want to know what the hell goes on after I die.
I think that's the whole mystery of life. Everybody's trying to figure that out.
I don't want to die.
I mean,
I just don't want to do it.
I'm
I don't
sure.
want to do it.
I'm sure you're scared of dying. I get it, as Mike would say. Yeah, this one, it's creepy. I think Mothman was some type of omen. I don't know. I can't explain like the lights that people saw. I can't explain like the Men in Black sightings. I can't explain like the Indrid Cold thing. Like I can't explain that. Like I have no clue. And we've always talked about this before, like even off the show.
Yeah.
Where do these sightings, where do these creatures, where do these things go? Like after the culmination of December 15th,
He just went away.
1967, have people spotted him again? Because
No.
most people in the town said that was it. That's the last we heard about
Well,
sighting.
yeah, that's why I
Now,
think it was like an omen,
Well,
and it was just there to warn people.
a lot of people too in certain documentaries, they said maybe people just stopped looking for it. Maybe people like that were having kind of fun with it. It was like, all right, now this is just a tragedy. Fuck that shit no more. Like we're
Maybe.
done with it. We're done with the Jersey Devil. We're done with Mothman. We're done with all this.
The devil.
Right. So could it have been? And I always think I've never heard this before on any show. I almost find it similar, the Jersey Devil to the Mothman.
Next up, Gremlins.
Next up. Can't with us today.
I haven't seen this movie in a long ass time. What was it? 84?
84 came out. Joe Dante. Also, The Burbs. One
Yep.
of your favorites.
Yep, The Burbs, and also Howie Mandel was in there.
Yeah, he was the voice of Gizmo.
Yeah.
The
Not,
Mogwai.
how many people know that?
No,
Little Gizmo.
that is kind of weird because I just remember Gizmo like,
Yeah.
and he was just, that's funny that he did the voice to it.
The 3 rules of the Gremlins.
Do you know him offhand? You haven't seen him in a long time. Don't feed him after midnight. That was the biggest
Yeah,
rule. That
don't
was the
feed-
biggest rule. Don't feed him after midnight.
I forget.
Don't get it wet.
Yeah, don't get it wet.
And it hates bright lights.
Yep.
And don't give it coffee.
I love coffee.
I know you do, but don't give it coffee. When I started looking up the movie, because I was like, now I want to know exactly when it came out. It's definitely a Christmas movie, and it's definitely a Christmas movie I'm going to keep watching every year. I'm going to make that one of like my traditions. I didn't know there was whole folklore behind the gremlin itself. Creatures that cause malfunctions in aircrafts during World War II.
Yeah, they would call them Gremlins. Yeah.
Right, these gremlins, like out of nowhere, people that were in the Air Force, and the gremlins were popularized during World War II among the airmen of the UK, which I didn't know. And
The
they were
RAF.
the RAF. Yeah, they were photographing, I guess, reconnaissance missions and stuff like that. And they would say that anytime like their plane malfunctioned and a couple of them had some sightings. Did you know there was a famous case Charles Lindbergh saw ghostly presence on his solo flight across the Atlantic in 1927?
A lot of like fighter pilots and Air Force people, like if you actually talk to them, like they do report like crazy, like either aliens, UFOs, or ghostly like things that are happening around bases, aircraft carriers, or on their flights. Yeah. I think when they say like gremlins, what I think they're referring to, little like technical malfunctions that they don't know why it happened.
No, I agree. I get that. But then, there is stories, and I did find them. Like, you could see some of the old pictures, there was no photograph evidence of this, gremlins, but there is pictures. Like this picture that we're looking at now is from 1944.
Yeah.
And it's like a gremlin flying on two eagles. And it looks exactly like the gremlins from the movie.
Which I'm sure that's where they got it from.
Right. And I never knew any of this watching the movies, because as a kid growing up, and even when I got older, all I really cared about was watching a movie, being entertained. I never really looked into like the history. I was never one of these people, that was like, oh, Joe Dante, Steven Spielberg directed it. I know every little bit of history about these people. Was watch the movie and be entertained.
Yeah.
And then when I started looking this up, like there is a pilot, American Boeing B-17 pilot during World War II, and all I found was he's known as LW, had a bizarre encounter with gremlins, as he called it, which was a typical encounter during, combat missions, where the guy reported that there was numerous things outside on his aircraft, which really confused him. He described it as a freakish entity outside the plane window, latched onto the plane, and it was described as 3 foot tall, abnormally long arms, gray, hairless skin, deep red eyes. It always has red eyes.
Yep.
A gaping mouth full of teeth, pointed ears.
This is funny.
And he goes on to say that he was frightened. He felt that there was like disorientation, maybe at the high altitude, there was some type of like oxygen loss. He was hallucinating. There was all this thing, but then he said himself in this interview, he said, no, like he was fully conscious. Like he knew what was going on. He tried to maneuver the plane around just enough where these things
would fall off,
either fell off because he didn't know. Like, because when he looked out and he couldn't see them, they were on the nose, on the wings. And he said when he maneuvered it, he goes, I don't know if they fell off or they flew away. And
Which,
then
if
that was
like,
it.
What if you actually saw that, right? So, like, you were another pilot and you actually saw these things on this other plane. Like, what the hell would you do?
Personally, I don't know. I'd be freaked out. I'd be like, all right, we're not only fighting the enemy here.
Yeah, we're
fighting
this
this thing that like is now tearing my plane apart. I wanted to bring this up because when starting to look into this, and Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Ho ho ho!
Think about this: the way that they're described, and I could read it to you again if you want.
3 foot tall.
Yeah.
Red eyes, hairless, pointy ears.
Are gremlins really aliens, and are gremlins real?
Well, so gremlins are real.
You think they're real?
No, they actually are. So,
here we go.
Scientists like dubbed there's a creature in Indonesia, and it's like a fuzzy mouse-looking thing, and they're only about, I want to say, like 50 ounces. And they were believed to be extinct, like the 1920s, but they found some. Yeah, I'm sorry, they're 2 ounces. They were extinct in 1921, but in 2000, Indonesian scientists were filmed like trapping rats, what they were doing, studying rats or whatever they were doing, and they found these things.
Gremlins do exist.
Yeah, they're not called gremlins.
Yeah, but see, I'm not talking about those. Like, that's all right. It's a creature.
Like, look at that thing.
I get it, man.
That's what they sound like.
They don't sound anything like that.
What do you think they sound like?
They don't make a noise.
They don't make a noise.
That makes it more terrifying. You have terrible noises today.
Why?
They're just terrible. They don't sound anything like that. That's more like a dog.
Yeah, but they're small like a dog.
They are 3 feet.
Yep.
So they sound like a dog.
You little gizmo?
Do gremlins, are they aliens? And do you think people were spotting aliens?
Beep boop. Beep boop.
Who are you?
That's Gizmo.
That's not Gizmo.
What do you think he does?
That's not Gizmo is actually awesome.
Gizmo was awesome.
Gizmo is pretty sweet. And in the second one, I remember him like he was dressed up like Rambo.
Yes,
and
I
he was
remember
just
that.
like gutting down.
I do think, especially during World War II, like the folklore of gremlins
Correlations.
is aliens.
You think they're aliens?
100%.
This is
Why
what-
wouldn't you say aliens? Why would you say gremlins? I don't know.
No. Which I get the whole term, and like this is fascinating to me that this actually existed. why wouldn't they be spotted again?
I'm sure they were spotted again and are spotted again. They just don't say it.
You know how we talk about aliens today, and you
Sure.
say like, all right, mathematically, you know, like it's out there,
100% they're real.
100%,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
How come there's no alien sightings today that describe these gremlins?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what like throws
Unless
me
they
off. At some of
evolved,
these.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what throws me off with some of these things. So they're aliens, but then they're not aliens. They're gremlins. Just think about that.
So do you think it would be
No.
more acceptable than like
Calm down, calm down. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
park is closed. The park is closed.
We're closed for Christmas. We are closed for Christmas. No, but what I'm saying, you're making me lose my train of thought as you're sucking down all this coffee. You got to stop with this coffee. You get the jitters and then you start making these noises. Think about all the different creatures, cryptoids that are out there.
Yeah.
So we have Jersey Devil, Mothman, Gremlins, aliens,
Bigfoot, Chupacabra.
Chupacabra, werewolf, Dracula, like even if you want to say like they all come from somewhere, that's freaking wild. All these things, we just rattled off 10 really quick.
Sure.
Obviously there's a lot more. Where are they? How come we haven't seen them again? How come, all right, we just saw some in the 20s and the 40s, but now we don't see them anymore? Like Mothman, we haven't seen him since the 60s. Did they kill him? Did they just say like, all right, Earth is not that cool, we're out of here?
That or more people don't go outside now.
Or they live in caves.
No, like more people are just immersed with technology and they don't go outside as much.
I love outside, man. I love
I'm
mountain
just saying,
biking. I
most
love
people
going
don't.
out there.
Most people don't.
I love getting in the woods.
Get in
I
those
love
woods.
getting in those parks when they're not closed
Well, there you go.
or when they're closed and I'm not allowed in there. I never knew that about gremlins. And it's now becoming a tradition in the household.
In the household.
In the household, in the studio to watch gremlins every year.
I think
And
you need a little gizmo now
we need something.
for the studio.
We got to go on the hunt for the Jersey Devil. We got to go on the hunt for Bigfoot. We got to go on the hunt for Mothman.
All right, let's settle this debate once and for all.
Going back to the Silver Bridge, you think it was a bad omen? You think
Very bad
You
omen.
think Mothman had something to do with it?
Yeah, I think Mothman was like the Grim Reaper, the Omen, trying to warn people.
And then Gremlins, do you think it's real or is like the folklore of where it started? Which I love this. I love this.
I think Gremlins are probably like aliens, and they were like premonitions, or like not premonitions, but like the pilots were seeing, aliens, and then like what would go wrong with the aircraft were just either coincidence or the aliens would bring them on.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like some type of form of alien or something, whatever it may be. Here we go. You're gonna break more shit.
We'll
now.
get Mulder on the case.
If
Mulder
Mulder
says
was
yes.
on the case, it would have been solved already. We always say, until next time.
Stay spooky, people. Ho, ho, ho.